Welcome back to Beyond Great with me, David James. This episode is brought to you by Silver Star Ski and Sport, the greatest ski and bike shop on the planet. Check them out at silverstarskiandsport.com. Moving on. I just had an incredible conversation with my dear friend and one of my all-time favorites, Mr. Steele Dewald. Steele is a professional golfer, a member of the PGA. He is a professional cast member of the canceled hit TV show Love in the Wild. Never heard of it? Yep, it's because it got canceled. But did he find love in the wild? Well, you'll have to listen to this episode to find out. Steele has developed a lifestyle and a mindset of the Buddhist philosophy, something that's helped cultivate his mindset and escalate his golf game throughout the years. I enjoy conversations with Steele solely for the fact that he challenges the way I think. I love people like that. I love Steele, I love the conversation I just had, and I love all of you. I hope you enjoy this episode, number 5 of Beyond Great with me, David James.
This little heart rate check.
Are we recording?
You seen this thing?
How's your heart rate?
Heart rate's good.
All right, heart rate's
pumping
good.
At 77 right now.
Well, I think we're live.
Okay.
You look nervous.
I'm really nervous.
Don't be
Never
nervous.
had a mic in my face in a car before.
Don't be nervous. It's just a TV show. There's going to be guaranteed 87 views on this show. That's not going to sound good.
Okay.
Oh, so we're just leaving the golf course.
Yeah.
You just got done playing golf?
I did. I was 1 over after 9, so I quit because that's key.
If you're not playing
If it's
well,
not going well, you
just
need to quit.
That's why I quit golf a long time ago.
Yeah.
You've been kind of like a little hot streak this summer, yeah?
Yeah, golf's been pretty good. Played 3 tournaments in June and scoring average was 68 in those 3 tournaments, which was probably one of my best streaks ever for, 12 rounds of tournament golf. And only played 1 tournament in July and 1 in August, but I've had a lot of scores sub 65 this year. It's probably been the best I've played, to be honest.
Didn't you take home a
yeah.
W? Did you get a win this year?
No W's. I've had a 3rd and a 4th, but
These are all local tournaments, right?
No, those are national,
Cool.
Well, actually, no. 3rd was the Pro Open, and then 4th was a tournament over in Reno.
And did you tie your course record at Park City, or you shot the new low course record?
No, we tied that bad boy.
That's pretty dirty.
Had a 30-footer on 18 there, but
30-footer on 18?
yeah, I left it 15 feet short.
For a 60?
I didn't give it a good run.
So, all right, so I thought you made a 30-footer on 18.
No.
Okay.
I had a 30-footer. I putted it 15 feet. I was so nervous.
It's pretty rare.
No, I 2-putted the last hole for a 61. But, yeah, I had a putt for 60, which I haven't had yet.
So, did you tie your low score ever, or is that your low score? 61.
That's my low score ever. So 2 61s at Park City.
Dude,
there.
Dirty.
Just love that little place.
61.
Love that place.
I've never even sniffed that score. Have you seen a change in your regimen this year that's allowed you to kind of go on this little hot streak, or is it just kind of like golf is? You just get in the flow and you just kind of work it out?
So my putting has gotten significantly better. It's tough to really pinpoint one thing with the game of golf. It's a culmination of things that all kind of come together. I think as I play more and more, I just get a little bit smarter about what I'm doing, and I'm able to kind of manage my game even when it's not very good, a little better than I have in the past. But every year it kind of seems to get better for me. And then, I continue to study the mind and Buddhist psychology, and that's really, really helped my golf game, that's for sure.
What has that helped with your golf game?
It's helped me learn how to deal with emotions. So in Buddhist psychology, they look at the mind a lot like a doctor kind of approaches medicine, in that if you have this, you take this medicine, you have this remedy for this sickness. Well, in Buddhism, if you're angry, there's remedies to neutralize the anger, whether it be a visualization or mindfulness practices. Give you an example. Excitement can be a very harmful emotion, especially on the golf course, because it clouds your ability to think clearly. And you can start first off, you get overly attached to an outcome, so you get so excited about what's going to happen or what could happen that the pressure starts to get ramped up a little bit. Excitement also makes it more difficult to deal with adversity. Like if you go birdie, 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 and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, I can't wait to tell everybody about this, and then you make a triple, and it's like,
can't wait to tell my mom about this.
No, my mom doesn't listen to me anymore. Yeah, so anyways, a different story. But,
sorry, go on.
Anyways, so excitement can be a very harmful emotion if you get too much excitement on the golf course.
What's more detrimental, excitement or anger, or are they on the?
I think they both play a role. I mean, any strong emotion in any direction really, at least in my experience, hinders my ability to make clear, concise decisions. I mean, if you look at salespeople, they typically sell on excitement because people kind of, the logic goes out the window when people are really, really excited.
Interesting.
So, anyways, a nun, I asked her about this when I was in India, and I said, how do you deal with excitement? And after I kind of realized that, wow, it's probably not the best emotion. I used to think it was an amazing thing to be so excited, but and she goes, you need to contemplate death and how this could be your last day. I was like, God, that's harsh.
Yeah, you just got dark there.
Yeah, that's just and when I first heard that, I was like, what'd you say? But the reality is it's such a strong emotion that you need to have something equally as strong to neutralize it. So I remember the first time I shot 61 at Park City. I mean, dude, I've been wanting to get that course record for a while now, and I had to play the last 3 holes 3 under, and I'm walking up 16, and I've noticed I'm super excited, and I thought of this nun, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna try it. So I didn't visualize myself dying and stuff, but I visualized I started contemplating how there's people all over the world really suffering with hunger and not being able to get clean water and whatever it is, and I study that stuff on a kind of weekly basis. So when I reflect on it, I actually have.
It wasn't hard for you to go into that mindset.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm always looking at the hardships that people go through, because Park City's a really small bubble.
It's a tough life out here.
Yeah, Jesus. It's like a little fantasy land out here. But anyways, so I would contemplate these things, and lo and behold, the excitement kind of diminished, and I was able to kind of neutralize my state of mind and be pretty calm.
Now, but doesn't that bring on sadness, or what does that emotion switch to?
Yeah, there's a balance. So you're trying to neutralize it, not go into despair or depression. So, you just contemplate it enough until you feel it kind of neutralize, and then you can move on. You don't keep dwelling on it, so you're depressed. But you can also use it as a good thing, this is happening in the world right now. Here am I, on Park City Golf Course, this beautiful day, playing the game of golf, which most of the world population will never get to play in their life.
Yeah, a sense of gratitude.
So it can also put a lot of perspective on things. And then all of a sudden you look at your little good round you have going, and you're like, this really isn't that important. I mean, it's not that big a deal. And, the mind is exaggerates everything, especially when you're in these really intense states of mind. So excitement, you think everybody's gonna go nuts, and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a rock star, this and that. And the reality is nobody really gives a shit. Most people.
You can't swear in this podcast.
Oh, my bad.
Just kidding.
Sorry.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is yeah, some people may be excited for you for a second, but nobody really cares that much. So anyways, you're trying to neutralize this state of mind, and yeah, so these contemplations can really help.
So what is it that draws you to this daily? I mean, because for those that don't play golf, like it is a constant battle of emotion, mindset. I mean, everything is so methodical in the way you progress through a golf round. And so what is it that draws you to that every single time? Because it's over the course of a career of golf like you've had. It's frustrating, it's exciting, it's all the above. And I know earlier in your career you weren't able to tame those emotions.
No.
You were a hothead, and it was really difficult. And so through those tough times, and even through now, like what is it that keeps you coming back to the game of golf?
So I really, really love the game of golf because it allows you to practice for life.
How?
And because you face every emotion on the golf course that you will face in life, whether it's, anger, frustration, fear, anxiety, adversity. I mean, and then you've got the over highs, you've got overconfidence, you've got a lot of excitement, a lot of joy, so you face everything. And it allows me to practice, dealing with my mind, and maintaining peace of mind. And I strive for like a neutral to slightly positive state of mind, not overly positive. I'm not a big believer in like positive thinking in the sense that a lot of like Western culture has kind of gravitated towards. I like realistic thinking. Like if you're coming down the stretch and you need to make 2 birdies, you're not saying, oh, I'm for sure making 2 birdies. There's no way I'm not making 2 birdies. I go, well, the best thing I can do here is go through my routine, and the odds I do have a chance to make 2 birdies. I don't know that it's going to happen, but I'm going to give myself the best chance by putting myself in the best state of mind to make these 2 birdies. So, anyways, to your question, it just allows you to practice adversity. And I've noticed that in my life, I handle adversity so much better now because I've started looking to golf to practice these things. So instead of going out to try and shoot a score, I'm actually going out to see how well I can handle what the round throws at me.
I think the biggest thing that correlates for me with golf and life is like there's no consistency, and it's a guaranteed that you're gonna fuck up at some point. I mean, even if you shoot that 61, you could have shot 1 or 2 shots better potentially. You missed 1 or 2 putts. You didn't put a wedge as close as you could have, and there's always going to be a down in the round of golf. And as is life, like nothing's ever going to come out of that perfect. And it's how you handle those situations to kind of get you through. If you want to even call them tough times on the golf course.
Yeah.
But what we perceive as tough times to overcome that, and that's life in general. I mean, you lose your job, you get divorced, that's just, and how do you, and like you said, like at the end of the day, like it really doesn't matter. Like that's what I've had to come to realize over the last couple of years is like, I go home and have the same day whether I shot my best score or my worst score. Like the next 5 hours of my day doesn't reflect how I play golf unless I choose to be, an asshole when I go home.
Yeah.
Which some people do.
Yeah. I think that the real art of golf, the real art of golf is learning how to really, really enjoy the game when you're playing poorly. And if you take on that challenge,
I like that,
then you kind of look forward to playing bad. It's like if I play great, that's awesome. But if I play bad, I get to try and overcome this challenge of really truly enjoying myself even when I'm not playing well. And if I can do that, then there's a good chance I'm going to be able to overcome some things in life that, may have been a little bit more difficult.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, enjoying the game when you're not playing well, because so many people, their level of happiness on the golf course is solely dictated. We talked about this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It's solely dictated based on the result, which is a score.
Yeah.
There's no other reflection. It doesn't matter how they hit the ball or how they putted or chipped or whatever, or the group they're with. It's the score, and that's it. And it's really kind of sad. I mean, it takes away from the beauty of the game of golf.
It really does. I mean, you're looking at, some of the most well-manicured pieces of land in the world. I mean, you're surrounded by this nature, and I mean, if this was like, if you were to look at it as if you were on your deathbed, okay, just for a day, and then you were, transported back to the golf course, just the appreciation you would have for all your surroundings and everything you're exposed to. Like, most people, don't ever get to experience being on a golf course. Like, it's just,
you're right.
It's so special.
And there's every now and then where I have a zone out moment where I'm just kind of off of my own world, and I happen to glance up at the mountains or the scenery, and I'm like, and I try and bring that back every time I play golf, but just be really appreciative of the fact that, I mean, we are able to, like you said, play golf that half the world can't even play.
But that goes back to another just skill for life, which, if you're always playing golf, then, it's human nature to have a hard time really appreciating the things we always have. So if you can learn to appreciate the things you always have, then, then you're very content in life, and life gets a lot easier. If you can't appreciate what you have, then you always feel like you need more. And it's a bit like drinking salt water to quench your thirst. Like, the more you drink, the more you need, or the more dehydrated you get. So, that kind of goes to that. You've kind of
approached or adopted over the last few years this simplistic lifestyle. And it's kind of a breath of fresh air, and you've kind of questioned me on my values and the things that I admire, and it's a full 180 from what you used to be.
Dude, there was a time where I made $100,000 running a nightclub one year, and I tried to buy a Maserati for $90,000. Like, that's how much of a 180 has happened.
Yeah, you used to be in the Vegas clubs, running a club. You used to be hanging out with billionaires and athletes and, very well-known people in this world, and you've kind of done this complete 180. Oh, someone has a Buddha on their porch. How convenient.
Oh, that's fun.
Isn't that fun, everybody?
It's so fun.
And what's that been like for you? I mean, have you lost a lot of friends and stuff in that process?
I think that, yes, I think we come together as friends because our priorities align in life. And I think as priorities change, you spend less time with certain people. Yeah.
I assume the answer is yes, but you're satisfied with the way that's gone and some of the relationships that have dwindled in your life?
Oh, yeah, because the relationships I have and the people I spend a lot of time with are really people that kind of help me continue to learn and grow as a person. I'm a huge believer in your environment, really, really taking control of your environment as best you can, because it has a massive influence on your motivations for life. Like, if I spend a week in the Rhino in Vegas, like, my motivations are not going to be up to get up and meditate at 5 a.m. and benefit all human beings,
No.
But if I spend some time with, if I spend a couple weeks in a Tibetan monastery, then I'm like, wow, you really want to do some different things. So I've been really exposed to, and it's interesting because you go on these, like, I've been to India twice. I've been to France, stayed at a monastery in France, and you go there, and the environment really promotes this very holistic thinking. And then you come back to the States, and it's a bit different in how the mindset that it cultivates. But in the end, taking control of the environment as much as possible is so important to me, and that starts with the people I spend time with. I don't spend a lot of time with people that are going to kind of pull me away from what I'm doing.
One of the things I've always admired about you is, you said it once, that one of the reasons that we've been such good friends over the years is we both are not afraid to plug and play and kind of tap into different realms of career or mindset or health or whatever it is. And, you've always had this like intense discipline that I've always admired about you. When you're reading a book and about finances or stretching or golf or mindset or whatever it is, you've always had this really intense discipline to practice it and to input what you've learned. And does that come from your childhood? Is that something your mom or dad has taught you over the years? I mean, or is that self?
I mean, I had a pretty intense discipline when I was learning to play golf. I mean, I remember, I think I was so motivated to get good at golf early on that my parents let me live down in Arizona by myself for 2 years when I was 16 and 17 for stretches of 5 to 6 months. And I remember during that time never even thinking about like going out or talking to women. Like, it just never even entered my mind.
Let me just interrupt you there, because I had a moment where I was down in Arizona with you, and I was a couple years older than you. I was 18 or 19, and I'll never forget this. I was down there thinking, I'm going to get my golf game good. I'm going to go to college, I'm going to play, and I want to make a run at it. I want to become a pro. And we were at the driving range one day. I'll never forget this. And we went out and played, and then we went to the driving range, and we were at the driving range for probably 4 to 5 hours. And I was like, okay, I'm going to head home. And after we played golf and had been in the driving range for 4 or 5 hours, I mean, our day we were already 8 hours in. And I called you 3 or 4 hours later. I said, what are you doing? And you said, oh, I'm still at the range. And it had been like 10 hours, and I was like, if this is what it takes, I don't think I got it. I mean, maybe my game wasn't there either. But if that's the discipline that it required, I didn't want to put in that much time into the driving range. I didn't love the game that much, and that was the moment that I realized, like, I don't love this game enough to be out there like you were. And so that was,
and to be honest, that might have been a little much. Like, I remember practicing like 70 hours a week. Like, it was pretty, especially, up until I was about 25 or so. Like, it was intense. I don't know that I would recommend that to people. Like, I seriously, like, now I practice maybe 1/50th of what I used to, but I'm 4 times the player that I used to be.
You're more focused on the practice. It's more.
Well, it's like I work on my life. Like, I work on having peace of mind in life, and I've noticed that pays dividends in golf. Like, golf is typically a reflection of how my life is going. And if I have peace of mind and I'm content with what I'm doing in life, then golf becomes a lot easier. It's when I put the emphasis on playing good golf and my identity getting wrapped up into my golf game, as if good golf means I'm a good person, bad golf means I'm a bad person. That's when golf becomes more of a torment than something that's a nice, peaceful walk. That's what's so tough
about golf, because I remember following your career, and I would go online and I would see that you shot a 75.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, God,
yeah, but I made a good putt on the last hole.
But yeah,
it's like
like once again, it's so tied. It's not tied to how you played. I mean, you can play phenomenal, and you hit a sprinkler head, and it just hosed you right down the middle of the fairway.
Yeah.
And so but people are just so. I look at that number, and I'm like, he sucked.
And to be honest, David, I do the same thing. Like, I look at a score, and I notice that my mind automatically makes judgment about what must have happened there. And I always catch myself, and then you go, well, you don't know what the hell just happened to that guy. So yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to deal with people judging out of ignorance.
Well, you said it to me one time that for a while, your entire identity was tied to a golf shot or a golf score.
Yeah. I remember the moment where I was like, I really need to take care of this, because I was just playing with friends in a, very friendly game, not a lot of money, and I had like a 4-footer for par, and I remember feeling like so much anxiety and stress about whether or not I was going to make this putt. And I'm like, I kind of noticed this, and I'm going, why is this happening? Like, what I'm with friends, there's no money on the line. Like, why am I so stressed out about whether or not I'm going to make this 4-footer for par? And that's when I really started to take a look at, how do I deal with this? How do I, if there is a way to deal with it, what is it? And that's what got me kind of started in studying Buddhist psychology, which really could not have been more opposite of most sports psychology that I have read.
Interesting.
I'll give you an example really quick. When I used to prepare for Q school, right, I remember one year I was preparing, I would visualize myself playing like unbelievable golf. This is for like 2 or 3 weeks leading into the tournament. And I would visualize myself playing so good, and then I would tell myself I'm the best. I would say I'm number one. I'd write it down. I'd go tell everybody how good I was. And basically it's like walk like you're the best,
which is a philosophy
like
that has absolutely been taught.
Yeah, it has been. The only problem with that framework is it does not prepare you for adversity, because I remember after all of this stuff, I doing all this visualization and everything, I freaking go out and I double the first hole. And I'm like, if I'm the fucking best, like, why am I doubling the first hole? Like, that was my first thought, and I was so mad. And I remember the next year, after having studied Buddhist psychology and really taken it in, here's how I approached it. I would visualize myself in a few different ways. First off, I would visualize all the negatives that came along with actually getting through Q school. And this is a technique that's used to reduce attachment. And so, for example, the mind often exaggerates how happy things will make us, and it negates the negatives. So you have to bring to light some of the negatives. And this was really difficult for me to figure out at first. But eventually I actually figured out some, if I did get web.com status, here are some of the negatives that would come along with that. Like, I had a girlfriend at the time, and that was going to come to an end. I really didn't want it to come to an end. I didn't want that lifestyle of traveling, to be honest. I enjoyed the routine of day-to-day life out of my own home. And so I reflected on these things, and this reduced the attachment, which brought down the pressure a little bit. And the other thing I did was, instead of visualizing myself playing amazing, I would visualize myself coming across adversity, like hitting good shots, getting bad breaks, and making bogeys or doubles, but then reacting in a way that was totally calm and reflecting on it in a way that actually made it okay. So I did this over and over, and lo and behold, when I came out and was playing, I noticed a calm that I had never felt before. And when things would start to kind of, adversity would arise, I was so calm. I just remember vividly, the last day, it was I actually was playing with a guy named Xander Schauffele.
I know the name.
Yeah, he's been.
I know Xander.
No, little Xander.
I've seen him on TV. There's Z-Dog.
And I always say this because it was one of the most memorable rounds I've ever had, because first off, I'd never gotten through first stage to this point. So I'm going into the last day. I'm on the number through Friday, or through the second day. I shoot 67 on the third day, and I go one inside the number. That's all it did for me. The scoring average that day was 69. I'm going, holy shit. So I got to shoot another 66 on this last day. So anyways, we come to the last day. Well, it's blowing 25, 40 miles an hour. And I'm playing with Xander and this other kid named John Hurley. and I make the turn at 1 over, which I'm thinking is probably putting me on the number. I was playing really, really difficult. And I just remember feeling this, like this such calm in that situation like I'd never felt before. And I ended up birding 5 holes in a row on the back 9 and finishing 4th and making it by 9 or something. Like it was just, it was pretty wild experience. I'd never really gone through that before.
And did your brain just kind of go blank, or this piece
No,
of mind?
no, there's not like this. I don't believe in like. I'm not saying I don't believe. I don't believe in. I'm not saying I don't believe in the zone, but golf is such a. It takes such a long time that, you know, you're going through so many different emotions. I mean, your mind's being stimulated by God knows what. You know, you're taking in all this information and it's spitting out, you know, states of mind. So you know, it's. I don't believe in this like zone where you're like, oh my God, what just happened? Like I knew what was going on, like, but I had prepared for that. You know, if pressure got a little bit intense, I would just kind of reflect on some of the negatives of actually getting through it, some of the negatives of qualifying, and I'd think, I really don't want to travel that much, so it's all good if this doesn't go in. Like that's kind of how I would do it, and then.
That's interesting. I feel like that would kind of counterbalance it too, though, because then your brain's like, "We don't really want to make this."
Well, it's a like I said before, it's a balancing act. Like you don't want to get so like indifferent that you're like whatever, and you don't even start going through your routine and stuff. So, but when the pressure is so high, like you have to balance it out by contemplating some of the negatives of the situation until you can kind of settle down. I mean. There's such an attachment to getting through Q school that I was in no jeopardy of like going the other way where I'm like, whatever, like I'll tap in from 10 feet. Like
minus your Buddhist philosophy and mindset over the years. How intense is Q school? It seems like it's such a mental grind for those out there that this is their life and they are really honed in on it, and they're emotional people or they're focused people or whatever you want to call them, but
yeah,
it seems pretty intense in the sporting world.
It is because, you know, so many people have their identity so wrapped into being a professional golfer. I mean, you know, like I was saying earlier, you know, if they don't play well, they feel like I'm like a useless human being.
Yeah,
like,
everyone around me doesn't care.
And, you know, and there's definitely a lot of money involved. You know, it's $5,000 just to enter. And, you know, when I got to finals the 1 year, it probably cost us $12,000 total. So it's a big gamble on yourself. And, you know, a lot of people are surrounded by people that are very attached to their golf game. And so, you know, you want to please those people and be accepted by them. And
yeah, that's the thing when you're a good golfer. Like, I've tried to explain this to some people that aren't good golfers. Like, even myself, who was like a good golfer, but I wasn't a pro or a great golfer. People, it's such a rarity. I mean, it's like something like, I'm making the number up, of 4% of people can break 100 or something. So to be at the sub level of shooting in the 60s, or it's your point something percent of the population of golfers, and so people definitely gravitate towards good golfers, and they want to be associated with them, and all of a sudden, you know, they're watching your career so intimately, and if that score doesn't reflect it, then there's nothing else to say but you failed.
And you know, like I said, people judge out of ignorance. Like, you don't know what's going on in a person's life or with their health, or you never know. I mean, last year I got through first stage again, and I was at second stage and went through massive back spasms. Like, couldn't even take it past halfway back, and I just bunted around the golf course the whole time. You know, but this is happening to people all the time, and not just in golf, like in all sports, in all of life. Like, somebody's had a little mean to you at work or something. You know, you don't know what they're going through. Maybe they're going home and they're taking care of their parent who's suffering from cancer. I mean, we're all struggling in our own way, and
Totally.
and it's important to keep that in mind and give people the benefit of the doubt.
So I feel like we went on a huge tangent. How did you gain your sense of discipline?
Oh, my bad.
No, that was a good tangent.
I read a book called Be Disciplined.
For real?
No, that was a joke.
You never know with you.
I think it started in golf. Like I said, in golf, I mean, I had an intense desire to be the best, and also, I don't know, out of that, it was more based out of fear, and that fear drove me incessantly, like, to practice like crazy.
But you didn't have anything, like, because I feel like you were an intense ski racer too, so you didn't have any of that.
Oh, I had that in ski racing too.
So was that just you, or was that your upbringing?
Oh, I think it was my dad, probably. I mean, probably the desire to have approval from him, I would say, is what drove that, for sure. For a while there, we had a saying that was "win or don't come home." Like,
Jesus.
yeah. We have a great relationship now, but it used to be intense. Like, it was, and it was definitely a motivator. And I look back and I couldn't be more thankful for it, because it was actually that desire to want to learn how to overcome this need for his approval that drove me a lot, in some sense, to like really study the mind and somehow find some peace of mind without feeling like I always needed to be winning or something like this to have a fulfilled life.
So do you have a goal with your career in the next, are you just really enjoying playing the game of golf, entering a couple tournaments, and just out there gambling, taking people's money? He took $15 off me yesterday.
Yeah, well,
Fucker.
You did shoot 98, so...
Well, you didn't give me the 1 foot putt on 18.
That would have been a good 97.
Thank you.
I don't have any goals for my golf. I just really enjoy playing the game, and I always enjoy, like, I use golf to try and get a little bit closer to people. I use the kind of like, okay, here I am, I've got this 5 foot putt, I'm feeling a lot of like fear, or I'm anxious or whatever. How am I dealing with this? Like, how am I going to deal with this? And then I apply remedies and stuff that I've learned through my studies, and I see if they work. And if they do work, then I know, well, maybe I can teach this to somebody. And if I don't feel like I can do it, then I'll be like, well, maybe I can't teach this to somebody. And it also gets me to really it teaches me, it has taught me empathy to go through a lot of, not just the stuff on the golf course, but life. Like, if you approach problems in that way, where you're, I'm going to see how I can get through this, and so maybe one day I can help somebody else get through this, instead of saying, I don't want to go through this, I don't want to go through this.
What do you feel when you see someone suffering really bad on the golf course? I mean, because for me, there's a very fine line, and I don't cross it very often, to be like, hey man, like, chill out, bro.
I mean, you can't say anything in the moment like that, but we need to define suffering, by the way, because
being a baby.
There's like physical suffering and there's mental suffering.
There's
like,
people that just
there's
whine.
like intense anger would be considered suffering in this context, or jealousy, or despair or fear. That's all considered.
Pounding your way around the golf course.
Yeah. So, look, golf, it gets people. I mean, you see people really, really struggle on the golf course, and I feel for them. Like, it's not easy when you're in this state of mind where you're so wrapped up in your ability to play golf. But
what's incredible about the game is yet people are miserable time and time again playing the game, but yet they keep coming back tomorrow to tee it up again for the hope to play. Yeah. Like, it's really incredible how the game does that.
And in that sense, it becomes a bit like, any drug. Like, you take it, you get your fix, and then you got to go get it again. It really, that relationship to golf, where you're always chasing that good score, and if you don't have it, then you're miserable is not.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not a good way to
sustainable.
approach the game. No, it's not.
That's when you sell your clubs and quit the game like everybody 6 times.
Yeah, I recommended that to you the other day. Did you do it? Or?
Yeah, eBay.
Yeah. Hey,
Dude.
Hey,
I got a good deal for those clubs.
good. I gotta sell my Vitamix, so if you could put that on eBay too,
I'll
that'd
be
be
back.
great.
No,
Oh.
I'm a self-employed.
Okay.
What was it? Oh, you said the other day to me in a conversation that stuck with me that if you would only put as much time into the time that you put into your golf game into helping people, how much you could really do for the world. I mean, is that something you're truly considering, like just taking all your energy and putting it into helping people?
Well, I've definitely. It's a question worth asking. Like, is it worth being number one? Because to be number
you
one,
can't come home if you don't.
well, yeah. I've learned to live on the streets though, so it's all good. Minimalist. But like, think about what it takes to be the best at anything. You have to. Oftentimes, people sacrifice their relationships. They sacrifice time with themselves. Time with friends, their health. There's just a lot of things that you have to give up to be number one.
For sure.
And
you'd be very selfish.
And it's very. I've been around a lot of successful people, and I'd say more often than not, they're struggling. On a mental level. Like, there's not any kind of contentment or satisfaction with their life and what they've done.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think to be number one, I think there needs to be this never-ending drive. Like, you always need more. Like, you always got to get better. You always got to get better. You always got to get better. And so there's no contentment. Like, you might enjoy something for a second, but then it's immediately like, I'll give you an example. Like, you win a golf tournament, the immediate thing is like, oh, this is great, you celebrate with friends or whatever,
and then the high
and then you have to go do it again. Everybody's expectations for you rises. You want to live up to those expectations, and now all of a sudden, when winning a tournament was like a great thing, now it's something that's becoming expected. And then if you don't win, it's like, oh my God, like, what happened? So, and I think especially in the business world, I mean, you have to constantly be honing your craft to make it to the top. And in doing that, you have to be somewhat discontent with your life, because it takes a lot of motivation to put in the amount of hours that a lot of people put into being the best at anything.
Yeah.
So, but it can also be used in a positive way. You can use a very positive motivation to get. I don't know if you could be number one with the motivation of. I don't know. Maybe you could. But
so, in your opinion, what are people missing the most when it comes to like self-awareness or contentment or happiness, whether it's in their drive to be number one or whether it's just in the day of life? I mean, what from someone with a Buddhist psychology who studies and really reflects within yourself, what do you think that most people are missing on a day-to-day basis?
Look, I'm like, you have to take what I say with a grain of salt, because I've still got a lot to learn about life.
Well,
but
we all do.
I think in what I've seen, the ability to be very content with less. I mean, for example, like, being rich is simply a matter of what you need relative
mindset.
Yeah, like, what do you need to have peace of mind? Like, if you need a yacht, then you better make X amount of money so you can buy a yacht. If you just need a bed to sleep on and a roof over your head, then you don't need to make all that much, unless you're living in Park City. But yeah, but so having the ability, and this isn't like I'm not advocating like a willpower, like feel like you're depriving yourself all the time of these things. Like there's a way to really cultivate a contentment and not really need a lot of the things that we feel like we need. And when that falls away, like the fear of not making enough money and all this kind of fades away. And you can really enjoy life. Like I've seen a lot of people that make a lot of money and then all they do is worry about losing the money someday. Or the money, they up their lifestyle to the amount of money they're making, and then they just need to make more because they always feel like, well, if I lose any of this income I have, then I'm going to lose all this stuff. And it's funny because oftentimes this stuff actually leads to more problems than it does,
Well, I think for me, like, I find if I don't get an attachment to the stuff,
yeah,
if I get, new golf clubs or a new car, and if I'm not buying this to make me happy, I'm buying it for the necessity or because I truly do want it, but I'm not buying it in exchange for a mindset or a fantasy of being happy.
Yeah.
Because inevitably the happiness is going to wear off. You're not going to get in your new car 10 years later and go, God, I still love this car.
Yeah.
And so if you can find the mindset to say, to remove yourself that this material item is what is driving your happiness, and just saying, yeah, it's just a car, but I do want this car, but I was happy without the car. I think that's, for me at least, that's where I kind of keep it's almost like on the golf course, you keep a level neutralness of excitement and depression, and it's just a car. And so
there's nothing wrong with buying stuff. I don't think it's like, but why are you buying the stuff?
Correct.
is what's really important.
To impress people, to make yourself happier,
there's things that are like, technology has made it so that there's some things that are like really efficient and like they make life a lot easier.
For sure.
And in my opinion, like I buy stuff like that, where I'm getting like a lot of value out of it. But if I find myself buying stuff to, impress other people or some kind of status play, then I start to question it. And I'm still working on that, but it's gotten better over the years.
I think
for
we
sure.
all are.
Yeah.
We got to talk about it.
Yeah.
You were the star of the canceled NBC show.
Ooh,
Love in the Wild.
Yeah, I was.
Did you find
killing
love
it.
in the wild?
Killing it there. How do you define love, David? Didn't think I was going to hit you with that one.
I'll tell you this. It's however you cultivate that mindset from a Buddhist standpoint. But this is before your Buddhism. So you were in the clubs looking for bitches. Did you find love, Steele?
No, David. I don't think I found much of anything out there. I just really learned that I should never get into a canoe for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Walk me through that canoe scene. You got into a canoe and like capsized it on shore,
it wasn't
basically.
Good, David. See, we were going to what's called Snake Island, and we canoed out to this island.
No, wait, you didn't canoe out there.
Well, you're right.
You didn't get in the canoe.
I forgot. No, I forgot how we got. No, we canoed out to the island.
I think you capsized before.
No. We canoed out to the island. We jumped because it was easy to get on the canoe from where we started. Okay, because you just got off like a little dock or something.
Okay.
But then we docked at Snake Island. I powered through the jungle. Okay, I got the treasure after I wiped the snakes off the treasure box. And then I carried it on my back all the way to the canoe. And I threw the treasure onto the canoe. And that's when all hell broke loose, David. I tried to get into the canoe from the water, and I just kept
you tipped
flipping it over, and I basically capsized it. And this poor girl I was with, her name was Kim. I felt really bad
Has
for her.
she written you a letter about that or anything?
Yeah, about 15 over the years. Like, how could you do this to me? You know, this type of stuff. But yeah, you know, it happened, and I wish I had Buddha there with me at the time. But
what kind of experience was that show? I mean, just walk me through the scenes of, like, I mean, was it pretty staged, or was it legit, like, all right, you guys just talk and do your thing?
Dude, it was okay. So it got a little staged towards the end for sure, but in the beginning it wasn't too staged. Like, but it was really weird. Like, I don't know. It's a social experiment, and you're putting people in a situation that they have no reference for in life. So you see people acting in ways that you probably wouldn't normally see them act in just everyday life, right? So you saw some really weird things happen, but and I think, you know, I mean, they take everything from you. They take music, they take books, they take TV. You don't have any access to internet, so you don't know what's going on in the world. So I'm just totally isolated for a month. And basically anything that would take you away from talking to another cast member, they take away from you, because they want you to go a little nuts, and they want you to start, you know,
getting aggravated, start some confrontation.
Yeah, they want that.
They
want
good television.
You know, when I'm sitting here, so look, I bombed every challenge. I mean, like dead last or second to last, and I kept getting picked to move on, you know, by some girl that had finished higher than me. And I don't know what they were thinking, but, you know, I was fortunate enough to keep going on. And so I finally, it's like the 6th episode, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking dominate this thing. I'm gonna win. Like, we're gonna win this. And I was total positive psychology. And sure enough, we go out and we took second. And I was so jacked up. I was like, we're guaranteed to go to the second to last episode, and this and that. So we're about 10 minutes before the ceremony where they like eliminate somebody, and a producer comes by and he goes, I need you to meet us at cabin 7. I'm like, where's cabin 7? Like, so we were staying in these bungalows in this jungle, right? So it had all these cabins that all the couples would stay in. And so I find this cabin. It's like way deep in the jungle. It's like pitch black. Like, I didn't even know this thing existed. And I walk up to this thing and I go, hello? And you hear this like voices from the dark. Yes, Steele, come in. I'm like, holy shit. We get murdered on a TV show? And so, anyways, they go, the producers are standing there in the dark. Like, one's like smoking a cigarette. Like, it's right out of like some horror movie, right? And they go, okay, Steele, so here's the deal. Like, we have you on film saying, you know, it's not going to work out with Erica when I get back home to Scottsdale, because she lives in Tennessee. So what we want you to do is pick Brandy. Now, Brandy was a girl that had been like terrorized by this guy for the entire season, but for some reason they were still together and moving on. But they were about to go home. So they wanted me to pick Brandy and make it like this big, like, heroic thing.
This is so intense.
I know.
God, I'm
and
nervous.
They're like, if you don't do that, we're going to basically make you look like a player and like a womanizer. Which I probably was at the time, but...
you should have been like, isn't this blackmail?
Yeah. So I'm like, well, shit. So I go, I didn't want to look like that. So I tried to... We go to the ceremony. I can't talk to the girl I was with, who I actually really liked. And so I sit down next to her, and I can't talk to her. So I can't even tell her what's about to happen.
So they stole your love in the wild.
They stole my love in the wild.
Wow.
And I tell her, look, I've decided to switch, and I'm going with Brandy. And this girl I've never talked to, like, I've talked to her, but I hardly ever talked to her. Brandy's like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? And she said no to me, so she rejected me. So I went home, and then
I thought you said no.
No. So I said no to the girl I was with,
Oh.
and I was like, I'm gonna pick Brandy and switch, and
she said no to you.
and then she said no. I'm like, oh, okay. So
And there's no
then I
more
went to
love.
the no not wanted zone. and then my girl was like, she had a chance now to ask me like, well, do you want, I like, she could either pick me or like pick another guy. And she's like, well, I mean, I don't really know what's going on, but Steele, would you like to go with me and go move on to the next episode? And I'm just like, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want to go home. So anyways, 2 couples ended up getting eliminated, and a buddy of mine, was the executive at NBC that created the show, who I got to know much better later on. He was telling me what was happening in their room, whatever room they were in, watching this, and he's just said we were all going nuts. He couldn't believe what the hell was going on. He's like, why are two couples going home right now? So it kind of just totally backfired on him. But
Even better.
Yeah. So yeah, it gets a little staged towards the end, but like Bachelor and all that stuff's super staged. Like I don't think they even actually pick. I don't think they actually pick their guy. I think they pick like 5 or 6 guys, and then the producers just eliminate the rest.
Well, I think I speak for my entire audience of 42. We hope you find love in the wild, Steele Dewald.
Thank you. I'm still looking, man.
Thank you.
That's why I keep hitting slices in the
woods.
Into the woods.
Into the wild.
All right,
Steele,
buddy. Appreciate you.
You're the man, dude. Appreciate it. Beyond great, David James.
Hi, guys.
Have a good evening, or day, or morning, whatever you got. Till next time. Thanks, man.
Yeah.